Here we go. Hour 2. We're live in L.A. This is The Herd. Wherever you may be and however you may be listening, iHeartRadio, Fox Sports Radio, and FS1. Joy Taylor joins me. She does recline on an airline. I recline slightly.
For that space, and that's it. And if you don't want me to recline, you're more than welcome to Venmo me for my ticket. I take Venmo, Cash App, Zelle, and then I'll sit up in a 90-degree angle. It hurts my back.
I understand that. I am mostly a non-recliner or a slight recliner.
This is not a first class conversation. This is for coach flying only.
I fly economy class at all times. I flew a middle seat from Salt Lake to L.A., 14B on a Delta flight last weekend. 14B right in the middle.
It's impressive.
There you go, right in the middle.
And you did not recline.
Did not, not that I, no. I mean, I look back, and I do about an inch. It's generally, if somebody reclines into me, I recline back about an inch. There you go.
Right. But so you're okay with someone reclining into you. You're tall. Just so you know, Colin's tall.
Tall, very tall. Powerful and tall. So I saw this story. Kevin Durant makes more news for not playing than any basketball player in recent memory. He came out in one of his podcasts this week, Kevin Durant did, and said, I isolated myself after the Warriors swept Draymond Green incident under the rug. Now, you remember this incident. We had video of this where Draymond Green said, listen, you're a B word, and you know you're a B word. We don't need you. We won without you. That was this moment. So I had said at the time, this is something I came back to. I said, Kevin Durant's never going to forget this. There are lines you can't cross. Now, I didn't like what Draymond did, and Kevin Durant came out and said, listen, they never supported me. Like, I know stuff happens, but they never supported me. So, first of all, Katie's a very sensitive guy. Bill Parcells has said it for years, the legendary football coach. Treat everybody fair. Don't treat them the same. I've got kids. They all have different hot buttons. The Warriors did not put their arms around KD enough for his taste, and he said, I never got over that. So we know he's sensitive. So in that area, I support Kevin Durant. He's a more sensitive guy. That's okay. And I think when you find a very sensitive guy like Kevin Durant, and then the basketball culture is different than the football culture. In America, the football culture is about building up men harshly. You're in college 3, 4, 5 years. Pay you, we wouldn't even suggest it. Go complain on Twitter. We can cut you. We can trade you. The head coach always has power, even over Tom Brady and Joe Montana. Joe Montana was traded off a great season. Brady, forget the pay cut. That builds up men. It builds up metal. Basketball culture builds up stars. That's different. There's a lot of coddling and worshiping. In basketball, the culture is spot the talent, surround the talent, Nike, AAU, college coach, and then groove the talent to be a money machine for all of us. It's a different culture. It's a more coddling, worshiping, protecting culture. Football's a harsher culture. But when you're sensitive like Kevin Durant and you've come through a culture that's increasingly worship-driven and coddle-driven, Kevin Durant's a guy who is hypersensitive by pro athlete standards. There is nothing wrong with this. I think the Warriors probably, in my opinion, should have been more aware of it. But this does highlight a concern I have about Kevin Durant in Brooklyn. So the San Francisco media is, like most West Coast medias, chill. Steve Kerr's a former player, so is Bob Myers, the GM. Steph is the easiest superstar in my life to play with. Silicon Valley is very progressive, very star-driven, protect the star. It was the perfect place for Kevin with one bad incident. Brooklyn, the New York weather's harsher, the media's harsher. Kyrie is a blamer. He calls people out. It's a losing franchise. It is not the #1 star-driven sports platform in New York. Yankees are bigger. Giants are bigger. The Knicks are bigger. I think Kevin Durant should have aggressively, not passive-aggressively, addressed Steve Kerr and Bob Myers, gone to them. You have some culpability to go and, call out your bosses if you're unhappy. That's not who he is. He tends to be a little passive-aggressive and sensitive. But again, let me go back to the beginning. I totally get him not liking the line Draymond crossed, because I think Draymond absolutely crossed the line, and the Warriors made a mistake not recognizing that Kevin is different than Clay and Steph. He is. You just have to come to terms with it. But we said this would never, ever, this was a huge issue. A lot of media people were like, they're over it. You do not, there are certain lines you don't cross. And if people are calling you the B word over and over, I got to tell you something. Friend calls me that. That's a line. I'll never forget that. So Kevin, I think, ended up, because of one really ugly incident. Other than that, Warriors were pretty nice for him. Good spot. That moved him all the way cross country to what I believe is going to be a harsher, more punitive basketball environment. That's why I don't think it'll work. Last night, by the way, the Clippers lost, and Paul George got nicked up. And Kawhi, of course, is doing the load management thing. And so, on most of the shows, like, the kind of show we do here, the opinion-based shows, there's going to be a lot of this. Look at the Clippers. Right now, Lakers are a #1 seed, and Milwaukee looks better. You have to understand what is happening with the Clippers in Los Angeles. These regular season games do not matter. The Clippers have been the most interesting regular season team. It was called Blake and Chris Paul and DeAndre Jordan. It was called Lob City. And it had no impact on the LA basketball environment. Los Angeles, the Lakers, may be the only city in America, and Los Angeles is, that basketball is more popular than football when both are in the city. It may be the only city in America. In Philadelphia, they like the Sixers. They live for the Eagles. Okay, New York may be the only city where baseball, the Yankees, is bigger than the NFL. And LA is the only city where basketball, the Lakers, is bigger than the NFL. Mostly, if you have an NFL team, it's the most popular in your city. And so not only is basketball popular, but it is completely symbolized by the greatest franchise in league history, the Los Angeles Lakers. So when Steve Ballmer, the genius from Microsoft, bought the Clippers, it's about branding. Okay, they want their own building. They share a building right now. They're the little brother sharing it with the big brother, the Lakers. They want their own building. They want their own brand. They're trying to separate from the Lakers. And the only way to do that is to humiliate the Lakers in the Western Conference Finals and then win the title. And I'm frankly not sure dominating the Lakers isn't more important than winning the title. This is a brand play. Load management works for this franchise. It wouldn't work for other franchises. The Clippers are about winning a title and crushing the Lakers on the way to the title. And one title's not going to change it, and two may not change it. This is all about the postseason. This regular season stuff, they've been captivating in the regular season. It didn't change a thing in Los Angeles. Even with all their Blake Griffin, CP3 Lob City, they charge less than half of what the Lakers do for a ticket in the same damn building. They don't care. They don't have the massive TV deal locally like the Lakers do. This is about getting a title. Nobody in that organization is losing any sleep with regular season losses, load management, Paul George semi-injury, Lou Williams taking a night off. You have to live in Los Angeles to get the power of the Lakers. You can't go anywhere in this town. Everybody plays second fiddle. The NFL plays second fiddle to virtually nobody. In L.A., Lakers way up here, Rams way down there. USC, third place. Dodgers, get behind the Lakers. And so that's what the Clippers are fighting. And so when everybody's getting worked up about the load management, Paul George is out, they're not playing great. In their building, it is about May and June. And by the way, they want to meet the Lakers so badly in the Western Conference Finals. They don't want the Lakers. They do not want the Lakers losing to Utah. They do not want the Lakers losing to Portland or losing to upstart Memphis or offensively gifted Dallas. The Clippers want to meet the Lakers in the Western Conference Final. They wanted to get a huge TV rating, and they want to beat them in 5 games and stamp on the Lakers. It is our town. That's what they want. Nobody with the Clippers wants the Lakers getting knocked out in the first or second round. They want to meet them in the conference finals, crush them, and then win the championship. And they want to do it back-to-back years as the Lakers age. Don't worry about the regular season. Clippers aren't. All right, good stuff. I got so many interesting things here today. I've barely touched on them. Rashad Jennings, Jason McIntyre, the former Giant, joins us next. We'll talk some Joe Burrow. We'll talk Tua. We'll talk some Tom Brady. All coming up. Listen, guys, it's never a good look when you untuck a long, bulky dress shirt. That's why I wear Untuckit.com and have for years. You think it looks casual, it generally, more likely, looks sloppy. These are shirts, Untuck It, specifically designed to be worn untucked. GQ calls it perfection. Casual, dressy, Untuck offers 50 fit combinations, tall, short, slim, wide guys, all ages. Go to Untuckit.com, check out the all-new arrivals. They also have 80 retail locations across America. Untuckit.com, as always, the code is HERD, H-E-R-D, for 20% off your entire first purchase. They're the go-to, casual, dressy. They have wrinkle-free options, specifically designed to be worn untucked. Check them out. Retail locations in New York, L.A., Chicago, and Dallas. Untuckit.com, code HERD.